Back to the Trump video. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I needed views, and the best way to get them is by making a video about Trump. I don't know why, but either people absolutely love him or absolutely hate him. Regardless of where they stand, they cannot stop talking about Trump. My last video was about Trump, focused on how he revolutionized the American politics and what strategies he used to gain power and influence. But this video will be slightly different, as I will be providing my personal opinions about Trump as well. Before we start this video, here's a quick disclaimer. I'm not an American. You might have already noticed with my accent. So I don't have right to vote in American politics. This video is simply my personal opinion as an outsider looking in. So don't try to come after me, alright? I'll try to be as unbiased as possible, unlike fake news. But still, you can take my views with a grain of salt, because in grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. I'll exactly put how we see it, or how I see it. This video is divided into two parts. On first part, I'll explain why I think Trump will win 2024 election. I hope there's some animation on the screen right now. If you're not seeing anything, that means I'm poor and I cannot afford an editor. With the views I'm getting, it will be a long time before I get an editor. So just imagine in your mind that there's some animation on the screen, okay? On the second part, I'll discuss the cost America will need to pay if Trump becomes president again. Alright, let's start with part 1. Why Trump will win in 2024. There's three reasons for it, and the biggest reason is the hate for Joe Biden. Give me a time to explain this. In recent times, American politics is less about the policies, but more about who is lesser evil among the two. If you look back at 2020 election, Joe Biden didn't get elected because he was loved by people or his policies were better. The only reason he won the election was because he wasn't a Trump. American people would have made a monkey as a president if that monkey ran against Trump in 2020. It was as simple as that. The fate of Donald Trump was written well in advance, even before he ran against Joe Biden. The hate for Donald Trump was bigger than any love for Joe Biden. If you want to talk about why people hate him so much, there are many reasons for it. And I don't think we can cover all of it in this video. But I'll give you the biggest reason. It's not because of his policies or his rhetoric. It's because his ability to not care while he speaks. This single-handedly has alienated a lot of people while he was in office. Now you might say that this is part of Trump's strategy to stand out by making ridiculous claims and to be in the spotlight all the time. I do understand, trust me. I made a video about it. Any publicity is good publicity. This strategy works very well until you come into office. Once you are in office, he needed to adopt different strategy. He needed to show people his nicer side, his other side, telling people that he's not always divisive. If he had done that, people would have forgotten all of his past mistakes, his lies, his personality. But Trump did a crucial mistake of using same strategy that he used to get in office to stay in office. This was one of the biggest reasons that cost him 2020 election. Now if you think about it, in Joe Biden case, he had even bigger problem to deal with. If your whole power comes just because you are not other person, guess how fragile your power is. Your power can crumble like house of cards at any time. 3 years later, we are seeing exact problem for Joe Biden. The hate for Donald Trump has come down, which means the support for Joe Biden has slided as well. People have started to see Biden for who he is, as a weak and vulnerable president who can't even speak with clarity and coherent. People fear that his weakness will compromise America's reputation around the world and its ability to influence countries. 4 more years of Joe Biden will likely increase this fear even more. So people are willing to bet on Trump rather than Biden this election. Now let's talk about the second reason. The second reason is the real threat to democracy. I know that Democrats has been saying it for a long time that Trump is the real threat to the democracy of USA and the foundation it stands on. We'll talk about Trump in a bit. But if you stand one step back and look at the bigger picture, you will see who is the real threat to the democracy. Like it or not, it's Democrats who has been a real threat in last 1 year. For now, let's assume that Trump is narcissist and selfish, who wants to benefit himself and his families. Trust me, I don't disagree with that. But if you genuinely think about it, everybody is selfish and narcissist in some aspect. So we need a leader who is self-centered but also tries to do good for the people. From 2016 to 2020, Trump acted selfishly a lot of time, but he has also done great job for American people. And it was quite easy to differentiate Trump's lies from the truth. In some sense, having Trump was quite transparent. If you look at Biden's presidency, especially the first presidential debate, you can visually see on live TV that he's not fit to run anything, let alone the most powerful country in the world. His thoughts were muddled and he didn't have ability to defend his ideas with logic. If he is like that in front of millions of people on the most important day of debate, imagine what goes behind the scene when there is no cameras. You can safely assume that he will be in his worst state when there is no people around. If he cannot make decisions by himself, there will need to be a people to make decisions on his behalf. Now, how scary is it to think that people who are not even elected through democratic process and are not even held accountable to anybody are running this country at this very moment? Do you think that they have got your best interest at their heart? Do you think that they will do what's best for the country? Who knows? Because nobody knows who is running the country. Nobody knows who is the face behind the president. Now, another thing to consider is if you are president of China, Russia, or North Korea, and if you see this old man mumbling and fumbling, what would you do? Obviously, you will try to exploit this situation to the fullest. This is precisely what we witnessed when Russia invaded Ukraine or when China increased its military presence in Taiwanese Strait. Meanwhile, traditional US allies like Israel or even Europe appears to increasingly indifferent to Biden's leadership, and people fear that it will continue to happen as long as Biden remains the leader. From appearing weak on an international stage to not even knowing who is running the country, America is in difficult state. Right now, America seems like no different to North Korea or China. This begs the question, is Trump really the threat, or has Democrats already compromised the democracy of United States? I'll leave for you to answer those questions. Let's get to the third reason. The third reason is his badass attitude. Let's start with the undeniable truth. Trump knows how to make a comeback. Despite all the controversies, all the countless headlines, and all the impeachments, Trump has a way of bouncing back. 2020, we all thought he was gone for good. But he was a fighter. His supporters sees him as a fighter, an American hero who fights against the establishment, who has courage to speak his mind. There is a reason superheroes are created in America, because Americans think very highly of themselves, and his portrayal as a Captain America resonated with many Americans who feel left behind by traditional politics. Even if we talk about economy under Trump was thriving until COVID-19. We saw record low unemployment rates, booming stock market, and significant tax cuts. These achievements are still fresh in the mind of many voters. They remember financial stability and job opportunities that Trump brought. These economic success are a powerful message that Trump will undoubtedly leverage in his campaign. Trump's stance on law and order appeals to many who are concerned about crime rates and civil unrest. He portrays himself as defender of American values and protector of the realm, especially suburban life. His message is influential in the times of uncertainty and chaos. Right now, people crave stability, and Trump positioned himself as the one who can provide it, unlike Biden, who can't even be stable himself. Alright, let's talk about part 2. The cost America will need to pay if Trump becomes the president. I don't think there are many costs that America will need to pay if Trump becomes the president. But there are some though. If Trump wins, the division in our society will likely deepen, not just here in America but everywhere else as well. There are people who will hate Trump no matter what. So this polarization between left and the right will cause more hatred and civil unrest. Trump also doesn't have a best record for compromising democratic process. Hashtag January 6. If he does become a president of the United States, it could further weaken the public trust in our democratic system and set a dangerous precedent for future leaders. The rhetoric, the us versus them mentality, it all contributes to the fractured society in some ways. You may ask, how do we heal these wounds? How do we find a common ground? I'll tell you how. There are few things to remember, but the most important thing you need to understand is that America is very mature democratic country. America is built upon large coalition. If anybody tries to tell you that America's democracy is at risk, they are just trying to fearmonger you. Do you think that this is the first time somebody has tried to test the world's oldest democracy? Obviously not. In the last 250 years, a lot of people have tried and failed every single time. So trust the process. Trust the constitution that America is founded upon. And don't trust everything that media says. They don't have the best interest at their heart. They try to fearmonger you. They know that fear is the best weapon they can use against people to make people do whatever they want. Regardless of election outcome, regardless of who wins, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, it is important to stay engaged, informed, and proactive. Your commitment to positive change, your voice, your actions can still make the difference. We must not let fear or division dictate our future. For those who are watching, I encourage you to reflect on these points and seek a common ground who have different perspective to yours. Be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. If you found this video meaningful, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means world to me. Also, don't forget to watch the first Trump video that I made on. The link is in the description. Until next week, see ya.